Your phone has 14 apps on it that you've never paid a single dollar for. You open them every day. You stay on them for hours. You let them watch you sleep, listen to your conversations, and track where you drive, and the companies that make them are worth more than most countries. That doesn't add up. If you're not paying, how is any of this making billions of dollars? The answer isn't what most people think. There's a quiet exchange happening every time you open a free app. You're handing something over that's worth significantly more than the few dollars the app would cost if they just charged you for it. In the next 13 minutes, you'll see exactly what that exchange is. The 3 ways free apps actually make money. The one category of free app that earns more per user than almost any paid product in existence, and the small handful of settings on your phone that quietly determine how much you give away. There's an old saying in tech that's now 30 years old, and most people have heard some version of it. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. It's a memorable line, but it doesn't quite tell the truth. You're not exactly the product. You're more like a small piece of land that companies are leasing for free, drilling for oil, and selling what comes out. Here's what most people don't realize. The free app economy generated more revenue last year than the entire global music industry, times 5. Mobile apps alone pulled in over $640 billion globally, and roughly 95% of all apps in the App Store and Google Play are listed as free. Free apps don't make less money than paid apps. They make dramatically more. The reason is something that took the industry about 15 years to figure out, and once they did, almost no one launches a paid app anymore. It comes down to a simple math problem. If you charge $5 for an app, maybe 1 in 100 people who see it will buy it. So out of 1 million potential users, you might get $5,000. If you make that same app free, maybe 1 in 2 people who see it will install it. Now you have 500,000 users, and the math changes completely because once someone is using your app every day, you don't need to charge them $5. You can extract something worth a lot more than that, quietly, without them ever noticing. This is how free apps actually make billions. There are 3 main mechanisms. The first is the one most people know exists, but almost nobody understands the actual numbers behind it. The second is the one that makes the math really work, and the third is the one almost nobody understands at all. Once you see how all 3 work together, you'll spot them in every app on your phone. The first mechanism is the most obvious one, ads. But here's what most people miss. The ads you see in a free app aren't priced like the ads on a billboard or in a magazine. They're priced based on who you are. Let me explain what that means. When you scroll through a free social media app, every time an ad appears, an entire auction has just happened in the background in about 100 milliseconds without you ever seeing it. That auction works like this. Advertisers tell the platform what kind of person they want to reach. Someone who recently searched for hiking boots, someone who lives in a specific zip code, someone who's been looking at fitness content for the past 2 weeks, someone who's about to take a flight. The platform looks at you. It pulls everything it knows about you, your search history, your location patterns, the other apps on your phone, who you message, what you've watched, what you've ignored. And then the platform asks the advertisers, who wants to show this specific person an ad right now? The advertisers bid in real time for your attention. The highest bidder wins. That's the ad you see. Here's where it gets interesting. The amount that bid is for is wildly different depending on who you are. A casual social media user might be worth 10 cents per ad. A user who's recently been searching for cars might be worth $12. A user who's been looking at mortgages might be worth $50. A user actively researching legal services, financial planning, or luxury travel might be worth over $100. The app didn't have to do anything to earn that $100. You did the searching, you did the scrolling, you handed over the data. The app just rented out the space in front of your eyes for 90 seconds. Now multiply this. 2 billion users, several ads per session, multiple sessions per day, every single day of the year, and you get the financial empires we now call free social media. Some of these platforms earn over $40 per user per year just from ads. For high-value users in wealthy markets, that number can be over $200. You might be thinking that this still doesn't quite explain the scale. Even at $100 ads, that's a finite number, and you'd be right. Ads alone are big, but they're not the biggest mechanism, not even close. The second mechanism is called in-app purchases. Most people assume this means everyone using a free app eventually pays a few dollars for something. That's not how it works either. Free apps that monetize through purchases follow a brutal pattern called the whale economy. Here's the breakdown. Out of every 100 people who download a typical free mobile game, around 95 will never spend a single dollar. They'll play for free for months or years and contribute exactly zero to revenue. About 4 will spend a small amount, maybe $5 to $20 total, across their entire time using the app. And then there's 1. That one person is the whale, and that whale will spend hundreds, sometimes thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars on a single game. This isn't an accident, it's the entire business model. Free apps are designed around a principle that's quietly become one of the most important ideas in modern business. Most users cost almost nothing to keep around, and a small percentage of users will spend almost without limit if you build the right systems to encourage them. So the apps build for the whales. The 95% who never pay aren't a problem. They're free advertising. They create the social environment, the community, the data, the noise that makes the whales' spending feel meaningful. A casino is more fun when it's crowded. A game is more compelling when there are other players to compete with. The free users are the crowd. The whales are the customers. Some popular mobile games make over 80% of their revenue from less than 1% of their users. One major game studio reported a single user who spent over $150,000 on character upgrades in a single game. Over 3 years, that's not a glitch, that's the system working as designed. The same model applies to dating apps, meditation apps, news apps, productivity apps, and most subscription services with free tiers. The free tier exists to find the whales. Everyone else is acceptable collateral. This is why almost every free app pushes you toward premium features so aggressively. Why the notifications never stop. Why the upgrade button is the brightest color on the screen. They're not trying to convert 100% of users. They're trying to find the 1% who will convert at a high lifetime value, and once they find one of those users, the math is so favorable that it pays for the other 99. So now you've seen 2 mechanisms: ads, which monetize your attention, and in-app purchases, which monetize a tiny slice of high-spending users. But the third mechanism is the largest of them all, and it's the one that almost nobody talks about. The third mechanism is the one that almost nobody understands, and it's the largest of the 3 by a significant margin. It's data brokerage. Here's what's happening underneath every free app you use. The app is collecting data points about you, hundreds of them per day, and either selling them directly to data brokers or using them to power its own internal targeting systems. These data points include the obvious things: your name, your phone number, your email, but that's barely scratching the surface. The data also includes your precise location, updated every few minutes, the other apps installed on your phone, your contacts list, the unique advertising ID of your device, how long you spent looking at specific items, what you almost bought but didn't, your typing speed and patterns, which notifications you open, which you ignore, whether you sleep with your phone next to your bed, how long you spend in the bathroom each morning, which way you walk to work. This information gets aggregated into a profile of you that's bought and sold across what's called the data broker ecosystem. There are companies you've never heard of that have files on you that would shock you in their detail. Some of them have been collecting your data for over a decade. They know things about you that your closest friends don't know. They've built a model of your behavior so precise it can often predict what you'll buy before you decide to buy it. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Each individual data point about you is worth fractions of a cent, but your full data profile, combined across thousands of sources, is worth a meaningful amount. Industry estimates put the value of a complete adult consumer profile at somewhere between $50 and $200 per year to the broker ecosystem. For high-value users like wealthy buyers or parents of young children, that number can be 10 times higher. Multiply this by 300 million Americans, all generating data every day through their free apps. And you start to see the scale. Free apps don't just rent out advertising space. They're essentially data farms. The app is the fence around the farm. You are both the worker and the crop. This is why so many free apps ask for permissions that don't seem to make sense. A flashlight app asking for your location, a photo filter app asking for your contacts, a simple game asking to access your microphone, a weather app asking to identify your face. The permissions don't match the app's function because the app isn't really the product. The data collection is the product. The app is just the polite reason to install software on your phone that does the real work. So when you understand all three mechanisms, the answer to how do free apps make billions stops being mysterious. They make billions because they've quietly built three of the most profitable business models in history, all running at the same time. On top of users who genuinely believe they're getting something for nothing, the user thinks that this is convenient and it's free. The company thinks. This user is generating ad revenue, occasional purchases, and a constant stream of behavioral data we can sell or use forever. Both are right, but only one of them understands the trade. Once you see how it works, a few things become possible. The first is awareness. Just knowing this is happening changes how you interact with your phone. You start to notice when a free app asks for a permission that doesn't match its function. You start to ask yourself, what is this company actually selling, before you install anything? That single question asked consistently dramatically reduces how much you give away. The second is auditing your existing apps. Most operating systems now show you exactly which apps are using your location, microphone, camera, and contacts. Most people are shocked to find apps using these in the background that have nothing to do with the app's actual purpose. Turning off unnecessary permissions immediately reduces your data extraction. It takes about 5 minutes total, and the impact is real. The third is your device's advertising ID. This is a unique identifier that most data brokers use to track you across apps. Both iOS and Android allow you to reset it or limit ad tracking entirely. It takes about 30 seconds to do. Once you do it, your value to the broker ecosystem drops significantly. You're not invisible, but you're much harder to follow. The fourth is using a privacy-focused browser for searches involving anything sensitive, medical questions, financial decisions, personal struggles. This single change cuts off one of the highest value data flows. And the fifth is the question I want you to ask every time you install something new. If this app is free, what is the company actually selling? If you can't answer it in one sentence, the answer is probably you. Most of the systems running your life work exactly like this. Not random, not personal, just precisely tuned, watching everything, sorting you into categories you don't realize you're in. Sometimes you can opt out, sometimes you can't. But you can always see it for what it is, and once you can see it, you can stop being surprised by it. I break down a different one of these systems each week. If you want them in your inbox before the videos come out, the newsletter link is in the description. Next time, we're going to look at how money laundering actually works. It's one of those systems that almost everyone has heard of, but almost nobody can explain. The mechanics are simpler than you'd think, and the scale is much bigger than the news ever shows.